So today is going to be a 3,000 point battle report, and I'm going up against Eldar again today, and I have been doing well against the Eldar, so I'm bringing tanks. Lots of tanks. And here's my 2,970 points worth of tanks using the Hammer of the Emperor detachment from the Imperial Guard book. Imperial Guard have access to orders, and my tank commander, who's this fella down here, can shout out 2 orders up to 12 inches to other squadron units, and squadron units are all the tanks and the sentinels. And I've given him the warlord trait, not warlord trait, the enhancement calm under fire. So when he shouts out an order, he can shout out the same order again, basically 3 orders. And there's 3 tank demolishers here. And the idea is he shouts out to himself and 2 other tanks, bring it down, gives them pluses to their ballistic skill. That's what Guard do, shout a lot. There's other orders as well, but I don't imagine I'm going to be shouting out any other orders to any other things in the detachment. And Hammer of the Emperor, when my squadron units advance, the sentinels and the tanks, they just move 6. And then all the strats affect just the squadron's units as well, with the exception of ablative plating. There's a 2 CP strat, plating strat, where you reduce all damage by 1, and you can put it on any Astra Militarum vehicle, which would include the big, the nasty Baneblade, and the Valkyrie in the backfield. Now, I'm not sure this is the best detachment in the Guard book, but it's the one with all the tanks in, and it's called Hammer of the Emperor, and I'm bringing tanks, so I'm using it. And this is my Traitor Guard, backed up by some Traitor Specialists today, some Scions. But over here, these are the Traitor Guard units that we have, and they're modelled and painted by Den of Imagination Painting Studios, excuse me. And the 40 fellas at the front are basically going to count as Catachans because they got +1 to wound when they go charging in. And that sounds like what cultists would do, screaming cultists. They've also got Scout of 6. So some meat shields at the front. Then we've got some Ogryns and some Bulgryns in the backfield with slab shields, brute shields, and the Ripper guns. And we have a Valkyrie for some of the Scions to come jumping out. Now, Scions can deep strike in again, according to warhammercommunity.com. But I wanted one to go in a Valkyrie because it looks cool. And the Valkyries look cool. Such an iconic vehicle. One of the squads has got 2 melters. One of the squads has got 2 plasmas. Flamers on all the sentinels. The Baneblade is decked out for all the fun. And I think I mentioned we've got triple demolishers and triple normal Leman Russ battle tanks. Everyone's telling me go with only demolishers, and my demolishers got multi-melters and las cannons on. But Leman Russes reroll hit rolls of 1, and in Guard, anything to help you hit more seems to be a good thing. And as well as re-rolling hit rolls of 1, each of the normal Leman Russes, I've got triple bolters on each. So they have sustained hits because they're heavy bolters as well. And then if you shoot at a unit that is on an objective that you don't control, instead of re-rolling hit rolls of 1, you re-roll all hits. So I like Leman Russes. It allows you to pull that pour on fire, not just the demolishers. Demolishers have more damage. Leman Russes have more damage because they pour on fire. Anyway, lots and lots of things for the Eldari to kill. Lots of heavy armor chonking around all over the place. And plenty of meat shields to run around and be annoying and get in the way. And welcome back to the channel, Danospawn. Say Danospawn. Hi, Danospawn.
Hi, Danospawn.
Danospawn. I was talking to Sultan the other day because I called you Danospawn last time you were here.
Yeah.
And Sultan said, do you mean Dan Osborne?
Yeah.
Is your name Dan?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Dan Osborne. Hi.
Hi, Dan Osborne.
Hey.
You brought Eldar today. Why have you brought Eldar?
So I was going to bring my word bearers back.
Yes.
Because I got a Thunderhawk gunship and I was going to get that all painted and looking lovely.
You've got a Thunderhawk gunship.
Yeah, lovely present.
Beautiful.
From my clever wife. But I didn't do that. I got all carried away and painted 3,000 points of Eldar in about a month.
But what about the Thunderhawk gunship?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is 299995 of the Eldar.
Yes.
And you're doing the War Host detachment.
War Host, yes.
So Eldar get dice, not dice. They get tokens which allow them to move quicker.
Battle focus.
Battle focus, that's the ones. And move if you shoot them and move. They've got movement shenanigans.
Yeah.
And then the Warhost gives you an extra token for
Yeah.
extra battle focusing.
Yeah.
And they're beautifully painted in Oathway colour scheme, by the way. I like
It's a
it.
very fast scheme.
And you're saying off camera, that's why you haven't brought many aspect warriors, or 0 aspect, well, just one unit of aspect warriors, because Oathway don't have access to very many aspect hosts.
Yeah, so they don't have that many because most of the guys become psychers. Instead, they follow the path of the seer. So there's a few psychers dotted around and Eldrad, but not many aspects in this army.
Nice.
Okay, so it wouldn't be Oathway without Guardians. There's 4 units of Guardians, one of which is a Storm Guardian unit.
Yes.
They've got Bright Lancers with the Defenders.
Yes.
The command echelon, we have Eldrad Ulthran,
Nice.
Hero of the Eldar. Then we've got an Autarch,
Yeah.
the Skeezer. He lets you do a strat for 1 fewer CP.
Okay.
The Farseer here has the enhancement to do a command reroll for his unit for 0 CP.
Okay.
Once per battle round. And then these little chaps, you've got Jedward and their pals, they're warlocks.
Right.
Which they're not a character, but they can join a unit like a character.
Okay.
And if they're led by an Autarch or a Farseer, then they're -1 to wound that unit.
Right.
So,
So the idea is to put 1 in one unit, 1 in another unit, basically 3 in one unit, 3 in another, and make the minuses to wound.
Yeah, and
Okay.
also unfortunately they make it so that they can't fit in the Wave Serpents, but whatever, it's fine. I'm sure.
So some in the Wave Serpents, some not in the Wave Serpents.
Yeah, well I think actually in the Wave Serpent we're going to have Janezar with her Banshees,
Okay.
one of them, and then probably the Wraith Blades at the back there, I think, in the other one.
Right.
To start the battle.
So psychic shenanigans going on here with these guys. Genzar allows you to advance just a flat 6 inches, and that unit advances and charges.
Yes.
And they go a very long way.
Yes.
Okay, what else we got?
So then there's 2 units of 6 bikes, because
Yes.
they're just too good to pass up at the moment.
Right.
Obviously the Wave Serpents, we've got Wraith Guard here as well.
Right.
They're with the Flamers, because they don't need to be supported by a Psyker with the Flamers, because the Psykers just make their ballistic skill better, so they can operate at full efficiency if they get isolated on their own, which I think's good.
Have you ran them with the Flamers a few times?
Yeah, they're quite good in some situations. Probably not against the Bane Blade, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Probably be fine, I'm sure.
Right.
And then this is where the shenanigans comes in at the back. You see
Okay.
this. So we've got duplicated on either side.
Right.
We have the Shroud Runners.
Yes.
They make a unit. They ignore cover on a unit that they've shot.
Right.
So that's good. Right?
Yeah.
And then this fella here, he improves the AP of attacks that go into unit that he's shot.
Right.
All right. So that's clever together, isn't
So
it?
the War Walker shoots at a unit, and then the rest of your army has got -1 AP against that unit.
Yeah.
And then those guys shoot at the unit, and you also ignore cover against that unit.
Exactly.
You've been thinking.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
done a brain thing.
Planning.
And then this guy.
Yes.
Well, I've got a mate over there. They choose a unit type at the beginning of the battle.
Yes.
And then they reroll on 1s to hit and wound against that type of unit.
Unit type.
Yeah.
So it can be vehicle.
It could be vehicles. Yeah,
Reroll.
it might be. I don't know. We'll see, won't we?
Okay.
Could be.
And then you've
So
got.
that's a clever thing, isn't it?
That's clever.
Yeah.
You used all the brains.
Aye, I did.
Okay.
Oh, and then there's a Wraith Knight
Yes.
for self-defense.
I'd noticed the Wraith
He's
Knight.
got scatter lasers for some reason.
Okay. So you've got guns, you've got speed, you've got shenanigans, you've got psychic chicaneries, and big nasty. The last time I met one of these on the battlefield, he ruined me.
Yeah.
Absolutely ruined me.
Yeah.
I think he could probably one-shot a Bane Blade, but I think I might be able to one-shot him back with a Bane Blade. It depends how lucky we get here.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of bodies. I like beautifully painted Oathway army. Let's go on to deployment. And we're deployed for this 3,000 point game of Warhammer 40k, the Guard, Traitor Guard, versus the Nasty Eldar. And today we're doing something a little bit different. We've got 12-inch deployment from either side of the central diagonal line. And this place was once a holy templum from the Imperium, but we desecrated it many years ago. And every 8 years we come back to renew our desecration ceremony. And some pesky Eldar have turned up. So we're here to drive them back. The way this game is going to work is it's a kill mission. We're going to get a point for every unit that we utterly destroy. And we've got the similar number of units on both sides of the battle grid. So we're just trying to tear the snot out of each other. And then there are 5 critical objectives. There's 3 at the entrance to this ruined structure here, one out in the wilds over there, one out in the wilds over there, and then at the very end of the game, as well as the point for killing everything, each of these objectives will be worth D3 points. But whether there's anything left alive on these objectives to score those D3 points, well, we'll have to find out. New codexes all round, so we're keeping it simple. Dano's Born really keen to play with this Eldar, and I've been very keen to play with 3,000 points worth of my Traitor Guard, giving them a run out again. I like tanks. I've got lots of tanks. I've got a Valkyrie in reserve. I've got a unit of Scions deep striking in reserve as well. I don't think Dano's Born, you haven't kept anything in reserve?
No.
Everything is on the battle grid.
Absolutely. With
this wall of machines across the middle line. Of course, we can't shoot through ruins, but this is towering. The Wraith Knight is towering, so it's got true line of sight. You can shoot it. It can shoot through the ruin if it wants to. And the battle map and all the scenery that you can see is from urbanmats.com. Who the what now?
The gravel probably came from Maidenhead Aquatics.
The gravel came from Maidenhead Aquatics. Yeah, and the things and that came in Maidenhead Aquatics. Check it out for all your aquatic needs.
Fishkeeper.co.uk.
Who the what now?
Fishkeeper.co.uk.
Right, now we need to roll dice. See who gets to go first. See who has the initiative. You've got some cheeky Eldar dice here. Mm-hmm. Let's see what they do for you. They roll your 1. Oh. That's great. Oh. The guard roll a 6. Oh. It's definitely the Traitor Guard, her word. So the Traitor Guard roll into these ruins that we created 1,000 years before to see them despoiled by these Eldar. And the front rank managed to go quite a long way with the countless of Catachans, scouting and then moving, and then squadrons such as all the armoured sentinels being able to move 6 inches when they advance. Of course, they're not going to be firing, but they're just pushing forward, setting themselves up for some overwatch, potentially. And then down on this side, there are sentinels and my traitors, cultists huddling next to that tank there, as well as all the Bullgrins. Their job is to keep the Baneblade safe. Unless the Baneblade gets shot and blown up, then that's fine. But keep it safe from close combat. My tank commander shouted out orders here, and looking across the battle grid, the only thing that they can really shoot at is, because the demolishers are out of range, the multi-melters are out of range, the only thing they can really shoot at is las cannons, which they could put into that wave serpent, or, because the Wraith Knight is towering, shoot at the towering construct. I think Operation Kill the Wraith Knight is in effect. And then some other tanks swung round this way. But because of the big nasty ruins in the middle of the battle grid, there's not actually that many units that I could draw line of sight to. There are definitely some units around this flank that we can draw line of sight to, however. So let's start here. We can start with this Lehman Russ battle tank here, firing the big cannon down at the bikes. All the heavy bolters will go into those infantry there. Dano's Born currently has like 7 battle focus tokens to play around with. But let's shoot him first, before he starts moving everywhere. The main gun on the Lehman Russ, D6 plus 3, which becomes D6 plus 4 because of blast. And these will hit on 4s and reroll 1s. No 1s, 4 2s though. So at 10, we have 2 wounds, -1, and you're in about as the open as it could possibly be.
So 5 ups. No.
I killed 2. 2 bikes down, bolters into Guardians, re-rolling hit rolls of 1, no sustained there, no. Okay, strength 5, toughness Eldar, wounding on 3s, 5 up saves, and I take down 2 of them as well. Then after shooting phase, it looks like this. They've ducked away. Guardian defenders slipped through, slunk into the cover over here. So now these 2 big tanks back here can't target them. And I can't target you with these guys as well, because 18 inches. Well, the lance cannons could hit you, but the demolisher shells and the multi-melters are out of range or line of sight. So they're ducking and covering, doing what Eldar do. So it leaves these 2 Lehman Russ battle tanks. And I guess we're firing everything at the Shroud Runners with one of the tanks, but they're -1 to hit, right? Mm-hmm. Not firing the HKs yet, though, on these ones. Might fire them on the other one. Anyway, here's the big gun. Adding 3 to that. And it hits your Shroud Runners on 5s and rerolls 1s. And look at that, I got 3 hits anyway. At strength 10, There's 1 wound at -1.
5 up.
And that's 3 damage. That just nukes 1. And then the heavy bolters on 5s and 6s are sustained. Wounding on the 3s. 5 more 5-up saves. 2 damage a time. I kill another. Injure 1 more. Yeah. Then tank number 2 will put its heavy bolters in that last injured one. And the battle cannon is going to go back into the rear unit. I'd like to do it the other way around, but we don't have range to hit the rear unit with heavy bolters. So let's just sow heavy bolters into the Shroud Runner to try and kill it. Rerolling 1s, 6s are sustained, 3s to wound, 6 4-up saves against this, and the Shroud Runners have been wiped out. And then the big shell has 6 shots into the bikers, rerolling that one, and these all wound on 2s, and then 4-up saves, and I take 1 more down. And that's the opening salvo from triple Lehman Russ battle tanks, completely nuking those Shroud Runners. That bike unit now is cut in half. The Guardians are already fading and flickering and jumping away from the remaining guns and coming around this way. And now we're on to other big guns. Coming down here, looking at what we can see with the Baneblade. I can't see them, can't see them. There is a Wave Serpent there that we can just about draw a line of sight to, but there's also the Wraith Knight. So let's try and kill it. Start off with four las cannons, which hit 4 times. Force to wound. Everything wounds.
Oh no.
Force to hit, force to wound. Now 4-up saves. How many 4s can everyone roll?
Oh no.
You don't roll enough 4s. This is 3d6 plus 3 for this, for damage. 13 damage. The Wraith Knight is on. 5 wounds remaining. Then the Baneblade battle cannon speaks. 3d6 shots. I'm rolling hot. And then how many 4s can I roll? To hit and to wound. 4 3-up saves with the cover in the way. That's another 3 damage. It's on 2 remaining. Twin heavy bolters. Only 3 of them hit. None of them were sustained. None of them wounded. Then finally the coaxial auto cannon, which hits once on a 4 and at strength 9. Doesn't wound either. So the Baneblade fired everything at that monstrosity, and it's still on 2 left. 2 left. And I've got triple tanks here that have been told to shoot better. So this tank will fire its hunter-killer missile and its las cannon straight at the Wraith Knight. And it hits on a 3. And the las cannon hits. And it wounds on a 4. And the las cannon wins. And you need to roll a 4 to keep him alive.
Easy.
And that's a 4. Okay, the HK hits. This will wound on a 3, I think. That definitely doesn't wound. It's still alive. Okay, ordered tank number 2. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Hits on a 3. We hit. Wounds on a 4. Doesn't wound. It's fine. I've got a HK, which misses. Damage 1. It should be dead by now.
It should be.
I've got 1 more tank. The idea was to kill it with the Baneblade and then kill the Wave Serpent as well.
You took the bait.
So now I've got the last shots with the tank commander. He is a tank commander though. That means he's going to hit and wound and do all the things because he hits on that. You see, he hits fine with his las cannon. And he wounds fine with the las cannon. Can you roll another 4? Yes, you can. That's a 5. He's fine. Here's the HK. The HK misses. I think I have to command point this with my only CP. I've got to. And it hits because he ordered himself. And it wounds. 4 to keep him alive. Another 4. How many 4s can you roll?
50-50.
That's another 4.
Ooh.
He's alive. And I've got no more guns that can bring to bear against these Eldar lines. In fact, all I did in turn 1 is nuke a unit of Shroud Runners, then fired everything I could at that Wraith Knight and did not bring it down. It's still on 2 wounds remaining as we go into Eldar turn 1. And here we are after Ulf Waves and movement phase, starting off with Jenzar using a battle focus token so we couldn't overwatch her with the flamers right in front. Disembarked from the Wave Serpent, then moved with battle focus tokens, then advance to 6 inches for free, and they're suddenly in charge range. First turn charges from Genzar into Sentinels, which can't overwatch. And there's a Farseer that pointed at the Sentinels, and the rest of the Eldar army is going to hit better against the Sentinels. Front and centre. And then there's some Flamers there. There's the Wraith Knights, or Wraith Lords, sorry, decided to pick vehicles. So they're going to re-roll hit rolls 1, re-roll wound rolls 1 against vehicles. Anyway, after Genzar came busting out of that transport, the unit of Storm Guardians jumped back in to that transport down there. Eldrad is in this unit here.
Eldrad is at the back.
Eldrad's at the back. Oh yeah, there's Eldrad with his staff. He's back behind the ruins trying to stay safe. And then there is a shift around on this flank to deal with the Sentinels and the Baneblade over here. There's a shift around on the other flank to deal with some of the tanks around this side. And the Wraith Knight is standing tall and resolute because he can see anything that he wants to kill. But we're starting on this flank with the Shroud Runners, putting some shots into the Baneblade, some shots into the Counts of Catachans down there. I'm spending 2 CP on Ablablade plating on my Baneblade. So -1 damage on the Baneblade, because I think that it's going to get lit up by a bunch of stuff. Basically, when you shoot it with these guys, it ignores cover, right? So it's like Tracer Fire coming into here. You're declaring your intent. So that's why I'm spending the 2 CP on it. Right, what are we firing first?
We'll sniper rifle that.
Sniper rifle it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Might get in through the slit, and you never know.
Let's see if you can pierce a slit.
Hup. 2 hits.
2 hits, right, okay.
And there's going to be like 6s.
Nope. No wounds, but you've lit it up.
You are hit.
And then the scatter lasers are coming into the Catachans.
This is going to be 3s.
Hits on 3s, wounds on 3s. No AP. But I'm in the open, so we're looking for 5s. And there is 1 guy left in that squad. So now the Baneblade has been lit up. The War Walker is sticking Bright Lances into it as well. These hit on 3s. And both of them hit. Strength 12. Wounds on 4s. And no cover. No cover because the Shroud Runners shot at him. I need a 5. I don't make a 5. D6 plus 2 becomes D6 plus 1. And that is 3 shots. Command point?
No.
Not yet?
No.
Okay. Blade's still got 21 wounds left, but now it hasn't got any cover. And now you've got +1 AP whenever you hit it. And a Bright Lance from the Viper is coming into it, which will hit on a 3. And that hits and wound on a 4. And that doesn't wound. And now I've been hit by a Viper. -1 to hit back. It's suppressed by that Viper. So the Baneblade will be shooting back on 5s. It's only lost 3 hull points, and it's in a sorry state right now. But we're coming onto the bikes now. The bikes are not picking on the Baneblade. One of them is going to pick on this lone fella down here, because it's a point for every unit you can kill. Everything else coming into the Sentinels, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if you can kill that last fella. And you hit on 3s. And you wound on 2s. And there's a couple of wounds. And he's utterly dead.
Well done, isn't he?
Now the shots into the Sentinels, hitting on 3s, re-rolling all hits because they're the closest eligible target. That one's lethal, so re-rolling all the things fishing for lethals. And there's a few more. And when I say few, I mean 1, and then 5's the wound. 6 come through, 6 3-up saves, and each one does 2 damage.
Yeah.
And I rolled badly. So one of those Sentinels have gone. This flank is suppressed. There might be a few more shots that could come in this way. I mean, the Wraith Knights just stood there. But before we get back to that, we're moving down into the middle where there's a couple of Sentinels barring Genzar's pass. So we're going to open up the shooting phase with the War Walker firing in to the Sentinels because it gives them +1 AP if you manage to get some stuff through. And they hit on 3s, and one of them hits. And we'll wound on a 3, and it doesn't wound. Using a command point on the wound roll. Wounds, I need a 5. That's not a 5. And this is D6 plus 2 damage. They have 7 wounds. And that's only 3 wounds. While all that was going on, those bikers round here lit up this unit of cultists and cut 6 of them down. There's only 4 remaining, but we're back into the middle. One of these Sentinels is on 4 wounds. One is still on full. And they're getting shot up by a bunch of Guardians. And you're hitting on 2s with a bunch of shuriken catapults because a Farseer pointed at the unit and said, shoot them. Toughness 8 though, so 6s to wound. 2 3-up saves. I'm good. A Bright Lance weapon platform as well, which hits and wounds on a 3 and doesn't wound. That was unit number 1. We're on to unit number 2. The idea is to try and kill the Sentinels and then charge through to the soft meat behind. We start off with the Bright Lance, or we're doing all the catapults? Bright Lance. Bright Lance misses. Then 5 wounds came through from the catapults, effectively at -2 because of the shenanigans. So I need 4s. I take 2 wounds. That one's still on 2 wounds remaining. Then the Farseer casts Eldritch Storm 6 times. Hitting on 2s because he pointed at the unit. Brilliant. Strength 6, so it needs 5s to wound. Those are 2 wounds. AP -2?
AP 3 with the thing.
Yeah, so I need 5s. I fail 1. D3 damage? One's on 2 wounds. And one's still on 1 wound. So now you want to burn them alive. 2 Wraith Cannons from the Wraith Guard.
D-sides.
D-sides. 2d6 damage. 2d6 auto hits. For 11 auto hits. And the D-sides, they're wound on 4s. -3, 1 damage, which becomes -4. So I need 6s on that. And I make 3 6s, only fail 1, which is enough to kill 1 of the Sentinels, and it doesn't deadly demise. So there's 1 guy left. Now, you've got a Wraith Lord over there, and so long as they're within 12 inches of a Psyker, they improve their ballistic skill by 1. And weapon skill, and there's a Psyker right there. It's not a +1 to hit, it's an improvement of ballistic skill to a 3-up from a 4-up. And then you've got +1 to hit because a Farseer pointed at it. So you're actually hitting on 2s with your 2 Bright Lancers.
And re-rolling 1s.
Re-rolling 1s because it's a vehicle, yeah. So there's a 1 to re-roll, brilliant. And then it's strength 12 versus toughness 8, so 3s to wound. And they both wound. And the improved AP means I need 6s, and I don't make either of them, and this is 2d6 plus 4 damage. And that's a dead Sentinel. And that one does go boom. And when it went boom, I lost a cultist who was happy to die to an explosion in the name of the Dark Gods and everything, but I'm not sure one of these howling banshees was happy to get hit by a spinning piece of shrapnel in the head. Maybe they should wear smaller helmets. I mean, they got really big heads. They're like a sniper's dream. So we're running out of guns. We've got some Wave Serpents. We've got a Wraith Knight, Wraith Lord. What's this Wave Serpent over here doing?
So you can see down there.
Right.
So going to shoot the Demolisher that's on an objective.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Bright Lance.
Bright Lance. That hits.
Bright Lance.
Doesn't wound.
Okay.
Then Wave Serpent number 2, firing everything at Sentinel down here. The lonely Sentinel.
So 4 Star Cannon shots.
Star Cannons, okay. Yeah. That's good shooting.
Yes.
Strength 8, wounds on 4s. That wounds once. -3. I need a 5. That's not a 5. It's on 5 wounds left. Then the Shuriken Cannon. It's on 3s. Is it sustained or anything? There's lethal, right. So one of them wins. And I fail that save. Take another 2 damage. It's on 3 remaining. Then we have the Wraith Lord firing over the back of the Wave Serpent, putting its Star Cannons in as well. This one is hitting on 3s. There is a Farseer close by. And re-rolling 1s. There's a 1. It's a vehicle. And then this is going to wound on 4s, re-rolling 1s. It's a vehicle. There's a 1. It worked. I need a 5. That's not a 5. And this Sentinel is knocked all the way down to 1 wound remaining. You can try and tickle off the last wound with the Shuriken catapults on 3s. And they all hit. It's the 6s to wound, which is the tricky part. Not so tricky. There's 2 6s. I need 2 3-up saves. And I fail 1. And that Sentinel's gone as well. And that one doesn't blow up. That's 3 guard units taken out in return for 1 of the Eldar units. And that's the end of the shooting phase, except for the Wraith Knight. Aiming all of the guns down at the Baneblade. 2d3 shots with the big guns of Doom. For 5 shots. But you are crippled, yes. So it is hitting on 4s, right?
Indeed, yes.
Okay. And 4 of them hit anyway. Strength 20. 3s to wound. And it is devastating. There's a devastating. AP -4.
Yep.
Becomes AP -5.
Yes.
And no cover from the Shroud Runners.
Yes, AP -5 from the wall.
So I don't get a save.
No.
Brilliant.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. How much damage is it though? Like surely just 1 damage a time?
Only 2d6 per thing.
2d6. So you've got 6d6 damage on my Blame Blade.
Sounds like a lot.
That sounds like too many. It sounds like I should have definitely killed it in turn 1. Okay, let's see how much wounds you get through. There's 21 wounds to kill it.
Ablative armor to this.
Oh yeah, -1 to this. Yes.
-3 overall, isn't it? Effectively?
-3? Yeah, 3 shots, yeah. It might be alive. Let's do some math. 18 damage becomes 15 damage. I'm alive. The Baneblade is on 6 wounds remaining. It's on -1 to hit anyway, so it's going to be hitting on 5s, but our 2 big guns firing at each other are unable to take each other out in the first round. That's the end of the shooting phase. Jenzar wants to charge. Using another battle focus token, so I can't overwatch her, and let's see how far she goes. 10. She comes flying through the ruins, straight into those cultists, and now we fight.
Okay.
So Jenzar.
Yep, 8 attacks, hitting on 2s.
Okay, she hits 7 times. Anti-infantry.
Anti-infantry 3+, but it's strength 6 anyway. So
Okay,
2s.
so 2s to wound.
That's all -3, 2 damage.
She kills 7 on her own.
He's killed 7.
I left a couple left, and then the Howling Banshees were able to mop up that squad, and then you consolidated 6 using a token or something. Battle focus token, and I've tagged both of the tanks, but they are Layman Rust demolishers, so they can shoot into combat, out of combat. Not the best thing to tag, but I like the idea. The main thing is, however, it's 4 points to 1. You managed to nuke 4 units in the first turn, and I've only nuked 1. Mainly because I didn't have much line of sight and range, because you counter-deployed rather heavily. However, this turn, there are definitely a lot more targets for the Traitor Guard to start picking on. And we've got a couple of units that can come in from reserve as we go on to guard turn 2. 1 minute, you wanted to fire and fade with these guys back behind the wall, so we'll do that now, and then guard turn 2. With a scream of ram jets, the Valkyrie makes it to the battle grid, disgorging a unit of Scions over here. And the Bullgrins are also shoving their way around this side of the battle grid, trying to keep the injured Baneblade safe. And when I did all of this shenanigans, you moved the Wave Serpent a bit further back, because I came within charge range of the Bullgrins. Ogrins, not sure they're in charge range anymore. Remember, the Baneblade is only hitting on 5s. That's my defense around this flank. I do have another unit of Scions in reserve, but I didn't know what to do with them, so I've kept them off. And talking about not moving things and not doing much, the tanks in the middle didn't move, didn't do much. The idea is to kill Jenzar, and if I had moved and fallen back anywhere, then there's a battle focus thing which allows you to move a unit after I fell back. So if I fall back with one of those tanks, it's very likely that Jenzar would sneak into some ruins or behind some ruins somewhere, so tank number 2 would not be able to shoot her. So we're staying close range. We've got demolisher shells. We're fine. Lots of guns. This unit don't know what to do with it. And then round here, the other tanks are going to be firing up this side of the battle grid, try and do much damage as I can. And I've lined up all 3 of the Lehman Russ battle tanks with Hunter Killers still on them, so they can see through these windows and things and shoot the Wraith Knight in the backfield. It's got 2 wounds. I must take it down. But before we do any of those shenanigans, these Sentinels move around here, so we can flame on that unit that ran away last turn. And we've got 2d6 auto hits with heavy flamers. And it wounds on 3s, unless you're minuses to wound at all. Not on that squad. So 2 at -1, 1 damage a time. And I burned 2 of them to a crisp. Then after getting burned, that unit decided to duck back into cover 1 more time, right into the centre of this ruin. Right, Operation Kill Wraith Knight is now in effect. We're going to start with this thing, firing its Hunter Killer at your Wraith Knight. And then all the other guns, I think the heavy bolters are going to... Mind you, if I shoot the bikes, you're going to move the bikes.
I've already moved one.
You've already... Yeah, but you've got a strat for move, shoot, move? No, that's the thing.
I've just done that with the Guardians.
So if I shoot you with something else, you can't move again?
No.
Okay, so I could split fire. So let's, put the heavy bolter into the bikes and the big gun into the War Walker behind. But let's start off with a HK into the Wraith Knight, which hits. And doesn't wound. Okay. Battle cannon into War Walker, maximum effort. We hit on 4s and reroll 1s. As a battle cannon, it wounds on 3s. That's 3 wounds. And you need to make 3 4-up saves. And that only does 3 damage. So it's got 3 wounds left. Now let's put all the bolters into those bikes. Rerolling hit rolls of 1, 6s are sustained. And then wounding on 3s at -1, 2 damage. 6 5-up saves. And the unit of bikes get wiped out. Only just. I killed a thing. It's 2 points to 4. Let's keep the pain train rolling. This Leman Russ is firing all the guns at the War Walker except for the HK, which is coming into the Wraith Knight. Operation Kill Wraith Knight. HK misses. Here's battle cannon into War Walker. Only 4 shots this time, which hit twice and wound once, and another 4-up save, and it's still alive. And it is in range of the heavy bolters, which are re-rolling 1. 6s are sustained. There is a sustained, so that one goes back in again. 5s to wound it though. 2 wounds at -1. 2 4-up saves. And it's still alive, but on 1 wound remaining. And the heavy bolters from tank number 3 are out of range, so it's just going to be a battle cannon into War Walker. And the Hunter Killer into the Wraith Knight. 3rd time's the charm. You ready?
No.
It hits. Strength 14. It wounds. You need a 4. That's not a 4, that's a 1. Command point? D6 damage on this thing.
I feel like I will, because if I can keep him alive... Mind you, Baneblade can't see him.
Well, if there's gaps through those windows, there's a las cannon on the Valkyrie as well.
I'm going to do it because then if it might tie up some.
It might tie up some stuff. Okay.
4 up.
4 up, and you make the save, and I don't kill it. Here's the shots into War Walkers. Only 4 shots again into War Walker, and only 1 of them hits. At least it wounds. It needs a 4, or it's dead.
Oh.
It's dead. It's another thing dead, and it took all the guns, and the Wraith Knight is still alive. So now we come down here where we've got a lot of guns looking at Genzar and her Banshees. So let's fire the Demolisher shell in. We're adding 2 to this, and no negatives to hit with the Demolisher shell. And it's been ordered, so it's hitting on 3s. And it hits 3 times, and it's strength stupid, and it wounds 3 times, but they have 5-up and vulnerable saves. And they all live. So we're doing the multi-melters and the las cannons now, which are minuses because we're in combat, but pluses because he shouted at them. I'll do them all together because they all hit on 4s and they all wound on 2s. And that's 2 more wounds, 2 more 5-up and vulnerable saves. And I killed 2 of them. That's 2 down. And then Leman Russ number 2 is doing the same thing. The Demolisher shell this time has 3 shots though. And it's going to hit on 3s, they all hit, and wound on 2s, they all wound. And you only fail 1. That's 1 Banshee left with Genzar, and then all the other guns on the tank wound on 2s. So 1 5-up and vulnerable save on the Exarch, dead Exarch, because the multi-melter's minimum 3, last cannon minimum, and then 1 4-up and vulnerable save on Genzar. And she's alive. And she's still touching both of my tanks. She's still alive. And she's infantry, so I can't shoot in to her. I mean, the Bulgrins could charge her, the Ogrins, but they don't want to charge. Okay, so this tank, well, the last cannon's going at the Wraith Knight, my tank commander. I want to see if anything else is in range. You know, the Guardians got set on fire.
Yeah.
You move them in range. So let's shoot you with this shell, which has 3 shots and hits on 3s, because it ordered itself. That was pretty cocked. We wound on 2s, 6-up saves in the ruin, and nuke 3 of them. That leaves 3 left with the weapons platform. Now let's put a las cannon into that Wraith Knight. It's on 2 wounds. I fired at it with everything. Surely this is the time. Hitting on a 3. And that's a 1. We'll get back to it. We'll kill it in a minute. Instead, we'll come down to the shooting from all this stuff on this flank, which is trying to protect the Blade. Starting off with the Scions. We've deep struck it. We've disembarked from the Valkyrie. We're going to put all our guns into these guys here, which are -1 to hit. They've got some stealth, but we're Scions. We hit better. So these are the hotshot guns, which are going to be hitting you on 4s. But we need 5s to wound, but re-roll any 1s. No 1s, and just 2 wounds at -1. 1 damage a time.
5 ups.
And we take 2 wounds off, but they have 3 wounds each, right?
2 wounds each.
Okay. Well, there's 2 melters in that squad.
Yep.
And both of them hit. And they're strength 9. And both of them wound at AP minus a bajillion.
I've got 5 up invulnerable save against ranged attacks.
So you make 1 fail 1. So I kill 1.
Kill 1.
So still 2 left. Now we're coming on to the Baneblade, which is hitting on 5s. But we're going to shoot at that, and that. The Wave Serpents, the Hunter things, the Bikers, and the Wraith Knight. We can see it. We've got 4 las cannons. We need 5s to hit it. Some of these have got to hit. One of them hits. Just one of them hits. It needs a 4 to wound. It doesn't wound. We are CPing it with the only CP that we've got because we're running out of las cannons. And it doesn't wound. I got a las cannon left on the Valkyrie. We'll get to that. We're doing the Demolisher, the big gun, the Baneblade cannon, which is 3 damage. These guys have got 3 wounds. So we need them dead. This is the number of shots. 14 shots into the Biker Boys. Hitting on 5s. Wounding on 2s. I do 3 wounds. 3 invulnerable saves on the Shroud Runners. And there's still 1 left alive. I think the Eldar are showing off their famous resilience. That biker is still flying around. Okay, we're doing the twin linked ones into all of these bikers. Okay, so these are the twin links heavy bolters. We're hitting on 5s with lots of shots. 6s are sustained. And we win on 3s, and they are twin linked. It's -1 but +1. There is a lot of cover between you and I. And I take out 2. 2 dead. The autocannon was going into them as well. And both of them hit. And 1 of them wounds. And I take out another. Then finally the Demolisher shell is coming into Wave Serpent. Demolishers on the Lehman Rush, dudes, are D6 +1. But on a Baneblade, it's D6 +3. For 9 shots. But I got a hit on 5s. -1 to wound with Serpent Shield. So 4s to wound. Wound twice. And you need 5s. And you make 1 fail 1. Make 1 fail 1. You pass them both. I didn't see it under the thing. You pass them both. Famously resilient Eldar, still being resilient. So we're on to the Valkyrie. Last thing left to fire. I expected more dead. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a las cannon into the Wraith Knight, because this last one is going to be the charm. And all the other guns are going to go down into this fella here, because he's the one that takes cover away from me. So he needs to die. So let's start with the las cannon. I feel like we've been here before. Into a Wraith Knight. Hitting it on a 4. And a miss. I don't know how many shots I've put into that Wraith Knight, but there's been a lot of shots. These are the heavy bolters that are going into that bike, which are hitting it on 5s with sustained hits, and wound it once at -1 onto your Shroud Runner, and take 2 wounds off, but it's still alive. Then the rocket pods have 8 shots, which hit on 5s because they're stealthy things, and that's a good amount of shooting. We wound on 3s, and I don't think it's any AP. It is no AP, just 4-up saves. Last wound is gone, only just. And that's the end of my shooting phase, and the Wraith Knight still stands. However, I've killed 5 things, because I killed Jenzar's bodyguard unit as well. So it is currently 5 points to 4, as we're trying to tear the snot out of each other. And I do have a potential charge. These Bullgrims around here, when I charge that Wave Serpent, they're going to need a 10 though. They're going to need a 10. And that's an 8. They failed to charge. So now we're on to Jenzar. Fighting some Lehman Russes. Pouring it all into 1 tank, hitting on 2s. And everything hit She has strength 6. She needs 5s to wound a tank. That's pretty good. AP -3. It's like she's a Phoenix Lord or something. I need 5s. I make 2 5s. So one of the tanks takes 4 wounds. And that is the end of guard turn 2. Then the tanks rumbled their engines back, tried to trap Genzar and did no wounds. And yeah, that's the end of guard turn 2. The battle lines are drawn. It's 5 points to 4. And there is a towering monstrosity in the backfield that is still free to fire. And these tanks haven't broken free yet as we go into Eldar turn 2. In the Eldar movement phase, the first thing that happened is you spent the CP and the battle focus token to fall back, shoot and charge with Janzar, who's up there and looking at these Ogrins with these Ripper guns, jumping out of close combat. And with a battle focus token, I can't even overwatch her as she jumped round that side. And then we have some guns in the middle. That's Eldrad up top. He's below. We put them up there because they're easier to see. And we've got 2 units out of range for Fireseer stuffs, looking at throwing some firepower down into the injured tank. And there's a Viper looking through the arch. There's a Warwalker over there. There's a Wave Serpent over there. And of course, the Wraith Knight, in case anyone's forgot that he's still hanging around. On this flank, some flaming goodness and a Wraith Lord looking at trying to deal with some of the stuff. And then round on the other flank, the Wraith Blades got outside of that Wave Serpent and they're backed up by a Wraith Knight, Wraith Lord and the Bikers and they're the Wave Serpent. There's a lot of firepower on this side and a Baneblade on 6 wounds remaining. There's a lot of firepower in the middle and a Layman Russ on 9 wounds remaining and less firepower on this flank. But some flaming goodness as we go into the Eldar shooting phase. We can open up with fire. Fire on fire. The Wraith Guard shooting in at the Sentinels. And automatically hits that many times. And wounds on 5s. I need a 5. You did a wound. Yes. Just 1 wound. Then we come round to the other flank. We'll leave that one for now. Where these bikes have dashed forward. And they're going to grenade the Ogrins, the Bullgrins. Grenades. There's a few 5s. 4, sorry. This guy's got extra wounds, so I take him away. All the remaining guys have got the 3 wounds and the 4+ invulnerable save. You kill one of the dudes. Boom. So now we're going to do the bikes and the Wraith Lord and the Wave Serpent, putting everything into the Bullgrins. And when the dust settles, there's still 3 Ogrins left there, and one of them's on 2 wounds. Lots of firepower. I haven't taken them out yet. Softened up for the charge from the Wraith constructs. And now we're on to the Warwalker. The Warwalker means to try and finish off the Baneblade. So let's see if he can hit. And he hit both of the times. Strength 12, toughness 12, wounds once. I need a 5. That's a 2. I'm not CPing it because there's more. Mind you, it's D6 plus 2, right? Yeah. And then it might force you to shoot something else with your dude. Mm-hmm. So I think I have to CP it. I failed to CP it. So yeah, D6 plus 2 damage. It's on 6 remaining. And that's 4 damage unless you CP it. You are CPing it.
I am.
You need a 4. It's a 50-50 chance. And I can't see it. That is a 6. We have a dead Baneblade, which doesn't deadly demise. Does mean the -1 AP that the Warwalker was trying to sew into it is basically shot now. But it does mean that the Wraith Knight is free to fire at whatever it wants to fire at, because the nasty tank has gone. So before we come onto the Wraith Knight, we're going to fire the 2 Bright Lancers from these squads into the injured Leman Russ here. And you hit on 3s. And you hit both of the times. Strength 12, toughness 11. 3s to wound. Wound once. I need a 5. That's not a 5. And it's D6 plus 2 damage. So 3 damage. No. There's another lance. There's another lance over here. Can this kill it? 6 wounds remaining. It misses. So there's still 2 infantry units left in the ruin in the middle. Eldrad's unit, move, shot, move. Fire and faded back behind the wall one more time. But the Leman Russ is still on 6 wounds. And this Wave Serpent is looking right at it with its lances. So can it hit? It can hit this time. And that's really cold. And it can wound. I need a 5 again. That's not a 5 again. D6 plus 2 damage. 6 to get through.
Oh.
It's on 1 wound remaining. Then the shuriken guns from the wave serpent put one of these sentinels down to 3 wounds remaining, and now left to fire is the Wraith Knight, Wraith Lord, and a Viper. And there's a Leman Russ on 1 wound remaining. What you doing with the Wraith Knight?
Wraith Knight, he's going to kill your tank commander.
Kill the tank commander.
That's the plan there.
Okay.
Yes.
So number of shots. Last time he had 5 shots.
Yes.
This time he has 3 shots. And he's hitting on 4s.
Hitting on 4s. Is it Eldrad's there now? So it'd be...
Is Eldrad there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, sorry, no, so it's still 4s because he would have been -1, yeah. So 4s. Ah.
And you miss. And you've already spent a CP. My tank commander will get away with it. You may have not killed my tank commander, but the scatter lasers on top of the Wraith Knight came in, killed one of the last Bullgrins, leaving 2 remaining. And we have a Viper left. We have a Wraith Lord left. And you're having a bit of a conundrum, because if you shoot the Viper into the tank on 1 wound, you could kill it. But if you shoot it into something else, then you'll suppress it and make it minuses to hit. So, kill a thing or suppress a thing?
Let's kill a thing.
You're going to kill a thing.
Yeah.
We're going for killing the thing. You got to hit though.
Shurikens will go over into that as well.
Shurikens into the little guys, right? Okay.
So hit.
It misses. The lance misses. The tank anyway. So my tanks are going to survive. Shuriken cannons came into the Bullgrins one more time. Didn't wound them. Now the Wraith Knight, the last thing, left to fire. Laser cannons into this Leman Russ down here.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's now hitting on 4s because there's no psychers nearby.
Right. But he's re-rolling. No ones to re-roll. Wounds on a 3. That wounds. And it's -3.
Yep.
So I need a 5. I don't make a 5. And it takes
just the 3.
Only 3 wounds off the Leman Russ. So after surviving the hail of fire from the Traitor Guard shooting phase, the Wraith Knight only manages to kill a Bullgrim back. It's rocking on its feet. It's getting pounded by artillery from a long way away. But at the end of the shooting phase, the Sentinels over here are gone. The Baneblade is gone. Janzar is poised and ready to charge. And we're going to have some charges around this flank as well. Wraith Nord needs an 8-inch charge to engage those Sentinels. And that's a 7. That's a failed charge.
Let's put the Wraith Guard in.
The Wraith Guard 6. That was just enough to tag the Sentinels. So they are tagged. Then we have Jenzar doing acrobatic dances, jumping out of that window and landing on those Ogrins. I say jumping through the window, but we're leaving her in the window because she looks really cool up there. Then we come over here where the bikes want to charge the Scions. Interesting. This is a 7-inch. 7-inch to get to the Scions. That's an 11. They definitely get to the Scions. Then the Wraithblades couldn't fail the charge against the Bullgrins, and you rolled high, which is good because you could wrap round the back, leaving a 5-inch charge for the Wraith Lord. And he makes it in there. So bikes on Scions, Wraith constructs on Bullgrins. We have Wraith constructs on Sentinels. Jenzar against these Ogrins down here, and I don't have any CP to interrupt. It's time for the Eldar to go choppy choppy. And Jenzar has fight first with her 8 attacks hitting on 2s.
Oh.
There's a few 1s. There's 4 1s. Okay.
She's tired.
She's a bit tired. She's been hitting a tank. Anti-infantry, 3 up.
Infantry 3. Okay.
And she only kills 1. Her arm is clearly tired after trying to hack open a tank from the outside. So we come across this side where 15 ghost axes from the Wraith Blades are raining into my Bullgrins.
Only hitting on 4s because there's no psyche nearby.
Okay, 4s. And that was not great.
No.
6 versus toughness 6 is 2. Just 2. 2 invulnerable saves. 1 goes down to 1 wound because we reduce all damage by 1. So the Wraith Lord's going to have to do it. And going for the sweep attack with the Ghost Glaive, hitting on 4s. And wounding on 3s. It's 2 damage time. Comes 1 damage time. I need to make all of these. I felt that kill 1 and put 1 down to 2 wounds. You don't kill them. So the Bullgrins and Ogrins are proving resilient and not dying. We've got some bikes versus some Scions. Say that again.
They've got 3 attacks each.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Mad, isn't it?
It's mad. Yeah, 3s to hit. Strength 3 versus toughness 3. It might actually do some work.
Wow.
4-up saves. You take out 2.
Amazing.
And we come all the way around to the other side of the battle grid where we have some Wraith Blades Guard. Wraith Guard versus Sentinels. They got 3 attacks each, but they should have 3 attacks each. Yeah, that's fine.
A bit more important.
Yeah. 3. Hitting on 4s with their fists. Wounding on 5s. 1 wound. 2-up save. I'm good. Sentinel's hitting back with a chainsaw. He's got 3 attacks as well, you know. 4s. 2 hits. Strength 6. 1 wound. -1.
3-up.
I think that's 2 damage. Oh. No, he does 1 wound each. 1 wound in return. Okay, we're coming back here where Ogryns are fighting Jenzar, and they hit on 3s with 4 attacks each. The big angry Ogryns. Look at that. Strength 6, toughness Eldar, wounding on 2s. We wound 4 times at -1 damage. Punching you with the butts of our guns.
All 3-ups.
And Jenzar takes her first wound. Then over here to the Bulgrin Maul, hitting the Ghost Glaives. We hit every time. We are strength 7. We wound 3 times. -1, so 3-up saves. It is 2 damage a time. I injure 1 because they have 3 wounds each, right?
3 wounds, yeah.
Then finally we have the fight back with the Scions, and they only have 2 attacks each. I say only, they're just little humans. It's still pretty good. It's not 3 though. 3. And we hit you on 4s. Those bikes. That was a lot of hitting. It's the 5s to wound though, which is the tricky part. 4 wounds, no AP. And I take 1 out. Then the sergeant strikes out with his powerful sword and hits all the times. And wounds 1 more time, and you're going to need a 6. Dude, the power sword is strength 4. Yeah. So they wounded all the times. Like -2.
Yep.
You need 6s. All the 6s. And there's only 3 wounds left in that squad.
It'd be easy.
And you don't make a 6. Oh. So those bikers should have definitely not charged the specialists. Yeah. The traitor Scions. You thought about tagging them, tidying them up. But yeah, we managed to slaughter them. It's this guy what did it. He's, see, 3 attacks on him. Yeah. Someone that it's the old school lead model. You put that in a sling and fire that at someone, you could give them a headache. Anyway, at that point, that is the end of Eldar turn 2. It's only turn 2. And in the slagging match between the Baneblade and the Wraith Knight, we know who came out on top. You killed another thing, making it 5 each. But I just killed a thing in your turn, making it 6-5. So the Traitor Guard are in the lead. There are a number of units locked up in close combat now. And Guard don't have anything where we can fall back and shoot, except this Sentinel squad here, because squadron units can do it. At least the demolishers in the middle of the battle grid are no longer locked up. So I think they need to rumble on into this ruin and try and kill this Wraith Knight. We've got to Guard turn 3. Okay, so I passed all my battle shock tests, and the heroes Scions who got charged by that bike, they jumped back inside the Valkyrie and are zipping across the battle grid, ready to jump back out another turn. But it doesn't mean that Scions are not on this battle grid. I did have a plasma team with 2 plasmas in it. And yes, there's going to be a lot of las cannons, or whatever las cannons I have remaining, coming into this Wraith Knight. But if it's not dead, I deep struck them in here. I was thinking about putting them back here to take on a War Walker. But I'll shoot it with whatever I've got in order to kill it. So some Scions back here. And if it does die, I know they're way away from anything. But it's turn 3 and there'll be a unit running around in your backfield, which might give you something to think about. Give the Eldar to think about. This flank is kind of collapsed for me. So we're ignoring this flank for now. Instead, we're pushing into the middle. There's the Valkyrie. Here's the tanks. You battle focused with Jenzar when these guys fell out of close combat. Ogryns fell out of close combat, so Jenzar jumped through into the ruin there. So she's going to get lit up by multi-melters and things, and that's the tank commander who have ordered up my tanks. And then round this side, I think those Wraith Guard and those Sentinels are going to slap each other forever. They're not necessarily both close combat unit forces that are going at each other. So I'm happy to stay locked up. And I brought the tanks around to shoot everything past them. So we'll start there. We'll start with this tank. Firing all the guns in at the Wraith Knight. Wraith Knight, Wraith Lord. Here's all the bolters. It's toughness 10. Toughness 10. I need 6s. There's 2 6s. 2 3-up saves. That's 4 damage. That's a good start. 6 wounds remaining. Here's a battle cannon to the face. And it has 8 shots, which hit on 4s, reroll 1s. And strength 10 versus toughness 10. I need 4s. That's 2 more 3-up saves.
No.
And I kill it. That's 6 damage.
That's CP 1.
You're going to CP one of them.
I think the Wraith Knight is going to die anyway.
Okay.
Try and keep it alive. Wait.
It's alive. It's still on 3 wounds, which means I'm going to have to shoot another tank at it. It's toughness of a wave serpent. Isn't it toughness 9 or something?
Toughness 9, but it has a -1 to wound.
So basically it's 4s to wound. No, it's 6s to wound and 6s to wound. They're both 6s to wound with heavy bolters. Well, we need to kill that thing, so let's pour it on. I fired the heavy bolters in. Did no wounds to the Wraith Lord. Here's the big gun. Another 8 shots. Re-rolling those 1s. I'm winning on 4s. 2 more 3-up saves, please. Right, I kill it finally. Didn't make any saves there, except for the CP reroll. Right, finally we're coming on to tank number 3. Tank number 3, let's do the big gun again. Which hits on 3s, no 4s, and wounds on 4s because of your -1 to wound. 3-up saves because you do have cover, and that does 6 damage. It's on 7 wounds remaining, then the heavy bolters came in and just rattled off its hull. So triple tanks, 1 Wraith Lord.
Joke's on you though, because he was already dead.
He was already, yeah. So I didn't kill him.
So it was a waste of time.
Yeah. Right. Let's flame these guys in close combat. 9 times. On 5s. 4 3-up saves. Take 2 wounds. 1's injured, so we burn 1 to death. Not death, because 1 was dead already. So
retirement.
Yeah, into retirement. So that's the shots on this flank. All the shots on this flank. Let's come around here. We have a Genzar problem in the building over here. So what we've got is, on this tank, right, we're going to put the Demolisher shell into them. No, the multi-melters into Genzar. Las Cannon into Wraith Knight. Demolisher shell into the big unit so I can get maximum number of shots for blast. Let's start off with Genzar, shall we?
Yes.
Okay. No minuses to hit her or anything. No. So it's just 3s to hit her because I've been ordered and I hit her 3 times and she's strength Eldar and I wound her 3 times. 3 invulnerable saves to keep Genzar alive. She's been around for too long. She fails one of them. You've done a CP reroll already. And it's D6 plus 2 damage. And she's gone. Demolisher shell into Little Men's. Adding a couple for blast. Hitting on 3s and wounding on 2s. But they do have cover. -3 becomes -2. You need 6s. And you rolled 3 6s.
Wow.
Rolling 6s to keep infantry alive. Where were the 6s to keep the Wraith Lord alive? You didn't make any saves on the Wraith Lord. Yeah. So then now there's a las cannon, okay? The tank commander, after taking out Genzar, aims his las cannon down in that Wraith Knight 1 more time and hits it. You've done a CP reroll. 4s to wound. It wounds! Can you make a 4? 4-up invulnerable save, 4-up cover save, 4-up everything save. And he can. Damn you, space clowns. Okay, we're on to the one that's hitting worse. Las cannon into that. The multi-melters. Everything else into the smaller unit. Let's kill the smaller unit. Let's do the las cannon though. It's going to hit you on a 4. It hits. It's going to wound on a 4. It doesn't wound. Right. All the other shots into these 3 remaining dudes. I'm going to find the other guns and kill 2 of them. There's still the platform left with the dude. You know all that talk about? It was the commander shooting your Wraith Knight. It wasn't the commander shooting your Wraith Knight. It was that one shooting your Wraith Knight because that is the only one that could see Genzar. We're now on to the commander. Because those 2 in front are fired, we're on to the commander. Okay. The Demolisher shell and all the short range guns into the... I mean, they're there. They're right there. And we need to kill things, and it just went away and measured. The multi-melters can hit those two. So the multi-melters into those two, Demolisher cannon into those, and then the Las cannon into the big Wraith Knight in the back. Let's do the multi-melters into the two remaining dudes. Hitting twice. And Snake Eye. So don't wound them, okay? We did that. The big shell into the full unit, hits them on 3s, 2 hits, 1 wound. Yeah, I just killed 1 in that squad. So Las Cannon into Wraith Knight. Then after this, I've got 1 Las Cannon on the Valkyrie to fire into that Wraith Knight. Plenty. I feel like we've been here before. Yeah. I'm getting kind of bored of this. It should die now, right? Should definitely. I like him being no. I miss. We miss. So the Valkyrie is going to fire its Las Cannon at it, and all the other guns down into these 2 fellas down here. Okay? Right. We're going to shoot the 2 fellas in the ground. There's only 2 of them. We're hitting on 4s, 6s are sustained, so we put that one back in there. Wounding on 3s, 2 wounds, -1, +1. Right, we kill those 2 fellas down there.
Actually,
they're done.
That's got 2 wounds, I think.
Yeah, it's a bolter, a heavy bolter, so it's all 2 damage, so I do nuke them. And then we have the Las Cannon coming into the Wraith Knight in the backfield. Otherwise, it will come down to the Scions. We hit. Can I roll another 4? We wound. Can you roll a 4 to save it? No! And it's minimum 2 damage. It's on 2 wounds remaining. The Wraith Knight's finally gone. Now the Wraith Knight's gone, the Scions round here don't get to do their Faramir moment and show their true quality for taking down that big beastie. But they're quite happy there. We're just chilling. Are we in 24-inch range of that? We are. Let's tickle it. Let's overcook. Both of them hit. They don't wound because the minus is to wound. And it's strength. We don't wound. Hazardous. We don't blow ourselves up with hazardous. Did a few hot shot guns in as well. No damage caused. I think that's the end of my shooting phase. Valkyrie fired. They fired. They fell back. Yeah, that is the end of my shooting phase. So defenders get to fight first. So we started the fight down here. There was a Bullgren on 2 wounds. He's been cut apart by the Wraith Guards with ease. Then we did the slapfest round here with the Sentinels and the Wraith Guard, and no damage caused on either side. And that's the end of the fight phase. The end of turn 3 for the Traitor Guard. Both of the Titanic constructs have gone down. The Baneblade and the Wraith Knight and the tanks are pushing forward into the ruin. At the end of the Eldar movement phase, they pushed almost everything into the middle to take on the tank threat. And with Eldrad and a Farseer down there, this tank is now +1 to hit and +1 to wound. He's been doomed and guided. The other one is just on 1 wound remaining. And the Storm Guardians jumped outside of that Wave Serpent after it moved forward. They've got a couple of fusion pistols in. This unit moving forward to get within grenade range as well as just shooting. Eldrad unit is down below again. Put them up there so you guys can see. And we have a War Walker, a Viper, a Wraith Lord, and the Wraith Blades got back inside this Wave Serpent over here, keeping them safe for now. There were no choice targets for them to go charging into. But it looks like both of these tanks could be in a lot of trouble. Meanwhile, over here, these Wraith Guard just stay locked up with the 2 Sentinels. We're coming down into the middle here, where you're lobbing a bunch of grenades into the tank on 1 wound remaining. That's 6 dice, just looking for 1 4. There's a couple of 4s, dead tank, and it blows up. And the explosion took out 3 Eldar, put 2 wounds on that tank, 2 wounds on that tank, killed one of the injured Ogrins as well. It was a big bada boom. Now this unit is shooting. And we're starting off by shooting that whole squad into the Leaven Russ. I've popped smoke, but you got +1, -1. So here's the Lance coming in.
So hitting on a 3.
And that's a 2.
But the Farseer allows, because I gave him the enhancement, he's allowed a command reroll CP for free.
Is he?
Round.
Okay.
So we'll use it now.
And that's still a 2.
Oh,
it doesn't help.
Stupid.
So no wounds from the big gun. 2 wounds came in through some shuriken weaponry, which I'm going to need 3-up saves against. I take a wound. It's down to 10 remaining. Now the Warlocks are casting Destructor on the tank as well. 2d6 plus 4. Auto hits. So 5's to wound with +1 to wound. It's 4s. Yes. +1 because of doom. I need 2s. I'll take 2 more wounds. And now what you're doing what you should have done at the start, which is fire the War Walker in, which will make everyone else better. So long as you hit.
Why would you say
Can
that?
you hit?
Don't say that.
I've got some smoke there. And you hit once. You do hit once. Okay. Wounds on a 3. It wounds. It's -3, becomes -2 because of the smoke. And I make the save. But everyone else will get +1 AP.
Yeah.
So you got +1 AP and +1 to hit, which is basically like me not having smoke.
Yes.
I like it.
Negated.
So onto the Storm Guardians are firing in 2 fusion pistols.
Fusion guns.
Fusion guns.
Pew-pew.
And they both hit.
Strength.
9 with +1 to wound is 4s. With +1 AP with smoke. I need a 6. I need a 6. That's not a 6. How much damage? 4 damage?
Yeah.
So the Leman Russ is on 4 wounds remaining. Now we've got the Dragon Fusion Gun from the Exarch, which is a souped up version of this. And he's an Exarch, but he misses. Shuriken pistols fired in, cause 3 more wounds. And the tank is down to 3 wounds remaining. And then there's a couple of flamers in there as well, which auto hit Snake Eyes, which auto hit twice and don't even wound. So this tank is refusing to die. So Eldrad and his entire team are firing everything at him. What are we starting off with?
Let's do the Bright Lance.
Bright Lance. It's a hit.
Hup.
It's not a wound, that's a 1. Shuriken weaponry. 3s to hit. But 5s to wound because you doomed me. And AP -2. Which becomes AP -1 because of smoke. 3s. It's on 2 wounds. It's still alive. 1, 2, 3 units fired. Now we're on to Star Cannons from Wraith Lord.
And his shurikens
Okay.
if he needs them.
He's sitting on 3s because he's within range of a dude. They all hit. +1 to wound, 4s to wound. This will be fine. You can roll a bunch of 4s. You roll 2 4s?
2 4s.
AP3 becomes AP4, becomes AP3, so 5s. And it's 2 damage a time. So that is enough to destroy the Leman Russ. And that one does not deadly demise. So we have a Viper and a Wave Serpent and a Wave Serpent left to fire, I believe.
Yes.
Because he did the... Okay, so the Viper wants to shoot my thing. Because if he hits and suppresses him, it makes my tank commander shoot worse. And he hits. And I can't see it.
It's a 2.
It's a 2, it doesn't wound. So on to the Wave Serpents. This one couldn't see my tank commander anymore. So it fired into the sky at the Valkyrie soaring overhead. And didn't manage to crack through the armour. But the second Wave Serpent decided to pick on my tank commander, who is now suppressed.
Yeah.
And we're firing in a lance, which hits and wounds. And -3 becomes -4. Back to -3. I need a 5. Nope, that gets through. D6 +2 damage. Only 3 damage. Then the underslung weaponry came in and no more wounds were caused. And there isn't any charges from the Eldar this turn. So we came across here to the fight and we did a wound to each other. And that's the end of Eldar turn 3. And I've got 4 tanks left. A couple of sentinels and some guys scrabbling around, as well as the Valkyrie in the middle. And the problem with having the 3 tanks over here is there's a massive ruin in the way. So shooting through into the stuff is going to be severely restricted. In fact, the only thing that can shoot down into all of this stuff with a Leman Russ battle tank, maybe one of those tanks if I spend some CP and bust through a ruin, which is something that I can do. I'm going to have to get out the Scions from inside the Valkyrie before it moves on. So with the Eldar pouring into the ruin in the middle and cutting down the firing angles from the Traitor Guard, we're going to go on to Traitor Guard turn 4. So it's turn 4. You get a point for killing everything, and we've got no idea who's killed more. It's been a slaughterfest. We've both killed a lot of stuff. Then in turn 5, each of these objectives is worth D3. So I need to set up now for turn 5, but then Dano's Born has the last action of the game as well. The idea with these fellas, because you didn't deep strike or come around the back, is to Run on there, steal that objective, and then not to get shot off or fail their battle shock or anything. And then my tank commander and this other tank can thread some shots down into the middle. And the Valkyrie moved from left to right. And as it moved from left to right across the middle, it dropped off the unit of Scions and you overwatched them. You overwatched the crap out of them with loads of Destructor hits and Flaming Torrenty hits. And of the 8 that re-disembarked from the Valkyrie transport, there's only 3 remaining. 2 with melters. The sergeant there with his big power sword. So I have given them some backup. There were 4 more cultists there, count as Catachans, that have busted through, and the last Ogren, and I passed my battle shock test again. So they're going to be firing everything in. Mind you, this unit is -1 to wound, right? Because of Warlock things.
Yep.
But that unit isn't -1 to wound.
No.
So I might decide to go into the Storm Guardian unit. Plus the Storm Guardian unit is the one with the fusion guns. So they're quite nasty. Now, Eldrad being below on that thing means the Valkyrie can shoot through the ground floor of the windows there and target them. And there's going to be some long-range shots from some Scions in the backfield that can target them. That's the reason why you didn't move back behind, because that would have jumped you out of cover. So there's all the shots in the middle. And then I've got a bunch of vehicles which are isolated on this side, and you forgot that these guys can fall back, shoot and charge.
Just shoot.
Just shoot. Yeah. So you could have fell back last turn. Yeah. But now they just stood there. The Sentinels have broken away from close combat, and both of these Leman Russes, the only things they're eligible to shoot at are your Wraith Guard. So we're going to pour everything into the Wraith Guard, hopefully blow them up, because that'll protect this objective back here for you running in and flaming my cultists away that want to come around here and steal it. So anyway, let's shoot with the Wraith Guard. I'm doing both of the Demolishers together. I'm doing it all together, so I'm adding 6 to this. The only thing we can see, hitting on 4s, re-rolling 1s, and wounding on 3s. And that's 6 3-up saves. Each one doing 3 damage, and a nuke 2 of them. Still leaves 2, so let's put heavy bolters in, re-rolling 1s. 6s are also sustained, and these are 5s to wound. 8 more 3-up saves, each doing 2 damage. There's going to be 1 left alive on a wound. Stuff just hanging in there. How annoying is that? I mean, I think that's the story of this game. Things not dying. I could charge, tank shock, kill, get a bit of extra movement. Okay, we're coming into the middle. We're coming to this Leman Russ, firing at this unit here, which is naturally -1 to wound all the time, right? The one in the middle, the big one in the middle. It's the only one I can't see.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna lob a shell down there. D6 plus 5 because of blast, and we're hit on 4s and no 1s to re-roll there. So instead of wounding you on 2s, we're wounding you on 3s, and we wound twice. And -1, and we kill 2. I had hoped for more heavy bolters. Heavy bolters, that many. No 1s, those are sustained, and these are going to be 4s to wound instead of nothing, because 4s to wound because you're -1 to wound. Kept you alive. This Leman Russ only killed 2 pixie space elves. What's going on there? So we're coming on to my tank commander, which is suppressed by the Viper. So what we're going to do is put a las cannon into the Viper. And the multi-melters I've moved around to hit your Wraith Lord, Knight thing, dude. And the Demolisher Shell? No, let's do las cannon into Warwalker, Demolisher Shell into Viper, and let's spread the love. Las cannon into Warwalker on a 4. A miss. Okay. Demolisher Shell into Viper. Number of shots. Hits on 4s. I hit twice. A toughness 6, I'm wounding on 2, so strength 14. Wound twice. 2 6s coming up. No 6s coming up. 2d6 damage is 4 down. How many wounds does it have?
6.
6.
Yeah.
That's annoying, isn't it? CP reroll on that one. I made it worse. Still alive. It's still on 3 wounds. Okay, 4 multi-motor shots were coming into Wraith Lord. We hit on 4s. We hit twice. We're going to need 5s to wound it, though. It is a Wraith Lord. We wound it once.
That's a 1.
That's a 1. And this is d6 damage on the Lord for 4. Okay, so we want to kill that Viper. It's been very annoying. So aircraft as well as towering models are not blocked by ruins. You use normal line of sight. So what I'm going to do is put the las cannon heavy bolter into the Viper. That will kill it. And the missile pods can only hit Eldrad's unit. Here's the las cannon. It misses. Okay, heavy bolters. Die, Viper, die. Right, that one's sustained. That goes back in, so that's 4. And it's toughness 6 and he's 5s. A wound, -1, but +1. I'm fine through a lot of crap.
Really?
It's still fine. It's not dead yet. Let's fire the 2 things, the rocket pods, and each of them is adding 2 and 2 because of blast. And it is 4s to hit, and they're -1 to wound. So only wound twice, and they get 3 up saves being in that ruin there, and they duck and cover. So far, my shooting phase has been decidedly ineffective. I have not killed the Wraith Guard. I've not killed the unit in the middle. I've not killed any of these things down here, and the only guns I have left are my Scions in the backfield, looking at shooting at Eldrad's unit in the back. And your lightning fast reactioning them as well.
Yeah.
Trying to keep Eldrad alive. So it's 4s to hit you with my hotshot volley guns. And then because you're -1 to wound, I'm wounding on 6s with these. I don't do anything. I think they reroll once. Yeah, strength 3. Oh yeah, you're right. So that will wound.
Yeah.
That one there will wound. That'll be a normal save. You make the save anyway. Okay. And then 2 plasma guns. No need overcooking. They both hit. One of them wounds. -2 becomes -1. And we kill one. We killed a thing. And I was going to say that's the end of my shooting phase, but I just remembered that we had a couple more cultists and the Ogryn down here. See, the thing is, if I charge your Storm Guardians, they're better in close combat for punching back again. But these guys are -1 to wound. So, yeah. So target priorities. So the Scions with the 2 melter guns that got lit up by Overwatch are going to kill that Wave Serpent. That Viper, right? We're going to kill the Viper. We hit it both of the times. We're wounding it on 3s. We wound it once at AP -4. I think it's dead.
Yeah.
It's definitely dead. Oh. Yay, killed the thing. And then I fired the remaining guns in and killed a couple of Storm Guardians. And that's the end of my shooting phase. Now we need to charge. So what we're going to do is that Layman Russ is going to charge that thing. That Wraith Construct 7. So we're going in there. And then we're going to tank shock that with the 1 CP that I have. And then these guys. I feel like if I charge the Storm Guardians, they're going to hurt. But I could try and charge them with everything. So let's charge the Storm Guardians. I've got to charge the Storm Guardians. They look more punchy. This unit, 4, we're in. The cultists here, 8, they're in. Cultists on the left. Scions on the right. Then the Ogryn, might as well challenge these guys. 7-inch charge into them. And that's an 8. We get there as well. So we start the fight phase with the tank shock over here. Layman Russ splattered that Wraith Construct against the wall. Just tank shocked him. Now we come to the middle. Start off with the Ogryn with the Ripper Gun. Hits on 3s. And he'll wound that unit on 3s, not 2s. They both wound. You need 2 5s. There's 1 5. Well done, Og. You took one of them down. Now we come across here to the Council's Catachans, charging your Storm Defenders. I got 4 guys. I'm hitting on 4s. +1 to wound when they go charging in though. Help me. That's a wound. And we managed to take one down. And then we're coming across to the Scions fighting. Here are the normal fellas. And I hit once. And wound on 4. Rerolling 1s because Scions, nothing. And then my Sergeant. Do you remember the Sergeant guy? Hero Sergeant guy. He hits twice, of course he does. And he's strength 4. And he wounds twice, of course he does. That's 2 6s. And he cuts the head off of 2 pesky Eldar. And at the end of those attacks, there's 5 Storm Guardians left, along with that Autarch there. And then round here, we have 4 normal Guardians left, with a couple of Warlocks and the Farseer. And they're fighting back against my Ogryn.
Regular Guardians.
Okay, hitting on 3s. And regular Guardians are strength Eldar, right? So wounding on 6s? No wounds. Now the 2 singing spears from the warlocks, and 3 of them hit. Their strength
3.
6 is to wound.
Yeah.
Singing spears strength 3. I remember when they used to be strength 8, really deadly and things, and they've gone from 8 to 3.
3 damage though.
3 damage though. Okay, right.
No AP, so.
Okay. Farseer time.
It's on 2s.
Farseer was singing spear, hits both of the times.
Ooh.
And it wounds.
Ooh.
AP.
No.
No AP, but 3 damage.
No AP.
See, the thing about Ogryns is they have a 5-up save.
Oh.
So you've got a good chance of killing him.
Hey.
You kill him. So the singing spear actually does something and breaks this unit out of close combat. The idea of charging with multiple units here was that both of these, well, you couldn't spend CP on both of them to fall back, shoot and charge. But now that one's free. And this one, you can spend the CP on there if they don't break out of combat. But let's do the combat with the Storm Guardians. 3 of them, including the Autarch, hitting the Scions. 3 of them hitting the other ones. What are we starting off with first?
Power sword from the normal guy into the
Scions. Okay.
3s.
You hit twice. And you
wound.
wound once. That's a 6 to save. You kill a Scion.
Close combat guy into Scions.
Okay.
Force
And
the
then
wound.
2 wounds. 2 4-up saves. Okay, just the Sergeant left standing. Leaves the Hero Sergeant in this squad. We'll get back to the Autarch in a minute, who's hitting the Hero Sergeant. We've got the other 4 guys hitting the 4 cultists. 2 normal dudes hitting on 3s. And they hit 3 times and wounding on 4s. And they wound once and kills a cultist. And then there's a guy with a sword, power sword. And he hits once and kills another. Then the Autarch hits the Sergeant on 2s with his Star Glaive. And it's strength 6. Wounds on 2s. And it's -3?
3 damage, yeah. -3, 3 damage.
-3, 3 damage.
Yeah.
It had killed my Sergeant 12 times over. And at the end of that combat, 2 of the Black of Ulfway are locked up with those 2 cultists down there. That fight is ongoing. So that's the end of guard turn 4. The Eldar, well, this is their entire force in the middle of the battle grid. They've got 2 turns to push back and push back hard. There's still some Wraith Blades inside this transport here. And let's not forget, they do have the last action of this game to push forward onto these objectives. But it's been an absolute slaughterfest as we go into Xenos turn 4. So in the Eldar movement phase, the Space Elves from space dance forward and doom and guide my tank commander. For the Storm Guardians to be able to do this, you had to spend a CP so you could fall back, fire and fade. And when they spend their battle focus token to make a fallback move, you can add 3 as well. So it's not just for normal moves with battle focus tokens, add 3. It's also fallback moves, advanced moves, everything moves. So they fell back 10 inches and they're close to that Layman Russ, which has been doomed and guided. And behind it is Eldrad. And what you're doing is spreading out and try to take objectives. There's an objective here and an objective there. And there's a Wave Serpent under that objective. And if it dies, there's units that can get back there. There's this unit at the back on that objective. And the Wraith Blades were a bit out of position after killing everything on this flank down here. So there's Wraith Blades and the War Walker back here on the 3rd objective. And then if either of them die, one you didn't go there. You're covering the 2 back there, like I'm covering the 2. This one's a bit up for grabs. And there's going to be a lot of shots coming into my tank commander. I'm probably popping smoke again. So we'll start off the shooting phase with the War Walker, firing into the smoke, hitting on 4s. 3s because of guide. Hits both of the times. And with Doom, you're winning on 2s. Ouch. I need 2 4-up saves. I make one fail one, d6 plus 2 damage. Is 6 damage. My tank commander's only on 2 remaining. So the Wave Serpent's going to shoot at it. It's got damage 2 weapons with its star cannons. And they hit on 3s. And they both hit. And wound on 4s because of the +1 to wound. And one of them wounds. AP -3?
But AP 4, but back to
Back to 3. So I need a 5. That's not a 5. My tank commander's dead and doesn't go boom boom. Blowing up that tank. It's left you with a bit of conundrum. It cuts down the number of shots that can actually see tank number 2. I mean, there's a lance there, that can shoot through and hit tank number 2. So we'll start with that. And it hits. And it wounds on a 4. And it doesn't wound. Okay.
The Farseer allows me to do a CP reroll.
For free. Okay, yeah. Okay, it doesn't wound. The 2 fusion guns, though, on the Storm Guardians can see this tank. And they hit this tank on 3s. And they both hit. They're going to need 5s to wound, though. Negative. Then we fired all the shuriken weaponry in that could see and was in range and was wounding on 6s, and I got a bit of cover from the wall there. This number came through. I need 2s. You take 2 wounds off. It's down to 11, and that's all the firepower in the centre of the battle grid that can shoot at it, except for the Wraith Knight. And he's putting the shuriken catapults down into the 2 cultists over here, but here's the cannons into the Layman Russ. And he manages to hit.
Yeah.
There's a Farseer nearby, yeah, he hits all the times. 5s to wound. Doesn't wound though. Then his catapults missed as well. So the Wraith Lord did nothing. Yeah. So the tank right in front of those cultists is going to try and kill him on 3s. And it hits twice. Wounds on 2s. And it wounds twice. And they are in a thing. So that will save one of them. Yeah. And then the Bright Lance on top fired into the tank over here and missed. And that's the end of the shooting phase. You've managed to take down my tank commander, however. But there's still one pesky guardian in the middle of the battle grid that you want to deal with. So Eldrad and the unit charge that last remaining cultist and cut him down. And that is the end of Eldar. Turn 4, they have locked down this ancient ruin in the middle of the battle grid. They've slaughtered as many cultists as they can get away with, trying to hold on to these key objectives as we go into Guard. Turn 5. Okay, so the little cultists that could have ran round here onto that objective, and the Valkyrie is still flying across the battle grid. I've locked this one down unless they all die and fail a battle shock test, and then I don't control the objective at the end of the game. Hopefully that's fine. The Valkyrie didn't fly off the table because if it's in strategic reserve at the end of the game, it counts as a kill. And we went away and counted our kill points, and we both killed 12 units each at the end of turn 4. These guys are holding down here. So there was nowhere for them to go, so I don't want them to die. 12 points each. So it's all about locking down these objectives. So we've moved a tank to contest this objective, and then we shoot through, kill Wave Serpent, and then these units need to go forward or backwards onto these objectives. And the problem is that Wraith Knight has an OC of 3, and my Lehman Russ has an OC of 3. So if I'd have just parked here, all you'd have had to do is walk forward and stand another thing on the objective, and you'd have stopped me scoring this objective. So the tank is handbrake turned and has spent a CP to crash through with the Sentinels so they could go straight through the scenery in a straight line using the Hammer of the Emperor thing so they could advance a total of 6 inches and get onto this objective. So we've got multiple units and multiple OC trying to hold down this objective here, forming a wall to prevent the Eldar busting through. And last turn, the shooting from my army was poor. And this turn, I've only got 3 tanks, and it needs to be really good. So before we get to the middle, we'll start with that Lehman Russ there. It's shooting all of its guns at that Wave Serpent. It's the only thing it can see. It has D6 plus 3 shots with its battle cannon for 5 shots. And it's currently hitting on 4s. And because you're in range of an objective, I'm re-rolling all hits. Strength 10 with -1 to wound is back to 4s. And it has a full threat cover save against that, because there's plenty of cover in the way, and it's fine. Bolters of the heavy variety, re-rolling everything. And 6s are sustained?
No.
6s to wound though.
It's only -1 if it's stronger.
It's only -1 if it's stronger. 5s to wound then. So 2 wounds, 2 more threat saves. And it's fine. And I don't do anything to that Wave Serpent. But I'm stopping you scoring that objective. So, tank number, that tank can see them and them. We'll start with this one. This one obviously wants to fire all the guns into the guys with the fusion that stood right in front of me. And here's the heavy bolters, and you've lightning fasted reaction this. I'm only hitting you on 5s, and I hit twice, but one of them is sustained. And we don't wound. What about big gun that goes boom? Hits on 5s because of lightning fast reactions, and we hit 3 times. Wounds on 2s. We wound twice. 2, 6 up saves for -1.
5 up for the
okay,
shield.
5 up from buns, yeah. We take down 2. We just take down 2. And then we've got this guy, and if I shoot at them, then it's going to be 5s to hit it. But there is potentially 2 more units that I can kill there. Whereas shooting at these, I don't feel like I'll be able to kill them all. So let's continue pouring it on into the Storm Guardians. Hitting them on 5s with heavy bolters. That's better, because all those 6s are sustained. Look at that. Wounding them on 3s. 5 up saves. That just leaves the Autarch and a guy with the melter gun remaining, and then boom goes the big gun. And hits on 5s and misses every single shot. With that, the guns of the Traitor Guard fall silent as we go on to Eldar turn 5. So the Eldar lock down the ruins. This War Walker is on this objective here. Eldrad moves back, locking down that objective there. The Wave Serpent is on this objective here. So you've got more objectives than me. And if you kill a thing, you'll be in the lead. And then it comes down to the points that we get from these critical objectives. And in the middle, you've fortuned and doomed and guided and everything this tank here, which is on 11 wounds remaining. And there's a lot of guns looking at this tank. The idea, blow it up, charge through, kill the sentinels, maybe take this objective as well. So I'm popping smoke one more time, and the War Walker's firing at the tank one more time. So it's hitting on 4s.
That'll be 3s because of guide.
3s because guide, yes. And it hits both of the times. And it wounds on 2s because of they both wound. Lots of cover in the way though. And I failed both of them. This is 2d6 plus 4 damage. And it's on 1 wound remaining. So the Autarch with this special fusion gun points at the tank and hits it on a 2. And that's what he got. And he hits it. Wounds it on a 4, 3?
4.
Not that.
No.
What about Storm Guardian? Can he do it? He can hit. It's a 4 to wound. He can wound. I need a 6. That's not a 6. That's the last wound off that tank, and it doesn't go boom. Okay, so we've got some more remaining shots here. And where are we starting? Wave Serpent?
Let's do the Wave Serpent.
Wave Serpent into Sentinels.
Bright Lance.
Bright Lance hits.
Bright Lance.
Bright Lance doesn't wound. Doesn't wound. Okay.
Always twin linked.
It's twin linked. The Bright Lance doesn't wound.
Shurikens from that
as well. The Shurikens are coming in. They hit, and there's a wound, and there's a save.
Yeah.
Then we've got Wave Serpent number 2, and we've got the Wraith Lord, and we've got the Guardians down here. He fired everything else in, and there is a Sentinel left on 3 wounds. And also, over here, Eldrad tickled that tank, put it down to 6 wounds remaining. So you're winning by a point. We don't know how much these objectives are worth yet. But you also want to try and take this objective off of me. So you're charging with the Autarch and the Storm Guardian unit with the fusion down there. And you spent one of your battle focus points, so I can't overwatch. And it's a 4. You just need a 4. And that's a 7. But in case someone dies in close combat, you want to put the Wraith Lord in there as well. And the Wraith Lord needs a 7. And that's a 7. So the Wraith Lord makes it here. He's still within range of a Psycho. He's got +1 to hit and hits on 3s. Overhand swing.
Oh.
Hits twice. Wounds on 3s. Wounds twice. And it's AP -3. I need 5s. I fail both of them. And it's 2d6 plus 2 damage. The Sentinel does not blow up, and the Eldar lock down this objective. And that's the end of the game. And it's 14 points to 12 for kill things. And I've only got 1 objective, which is worth D3 points, which makes it 14 points to 13. I'm still losing. And you have all the other objectives for 4 D3 points. That makes the final score 21 points to 13 in favour of the Eldar. And this is the way this world ends. But that was fun. Loving tanks, like killing Eldar. Didn't know it was going to go this way. I mean, you were basically unstoppable. You just kept coming and coming and coming.
They were very lucky dice rolling.
Very lucky? Yeah. No, that Wraith Knight surviving on 2 wounds that wasn't luck. That was perfectly average Eldar shenanigans. And that was awesome. Anyway, we do hope you enjoyed that battle report. Happy wargaming.